The Girdies. So I went down the rabbit hole and came back with way more than I expected to. This video made me realize that Emma Chamberlain has been a part of a handful of public friend groups and squads during this era of YouTube. Since our last video on the Savage Squad, so many of you guys were requesting the Girdies, but also Sister Squad, but also the Dote Girls. I honestly had no idea how intertwined all of these things were until I started researching. So this video is going to be mainly on the Girdies, being Emma Chamberlain, Ellie and Hannah Malosh's trio best friendship, but also a look into the controversies around the Dote shopping app and the Dote girls trips. So let's get into it. March 2018, Emma meets Ellie and Hannah on a Dote influencer trip in Texas. We'll get into Dote more later, but for now just know it's a shopping app. Ellie and Hannah had already been friends for 4 years at this point. There are like 7 other girls on this trip who are also teenage YouTubers posting vlog type content, but Emma, Ellie, and Hannah are the girls that really hit it off. This new friendship turns into a series of collaborations with the trio, them calling themselves the Girdies. At the time, Hannah was living in Michigan, Emma in LA, and Ellie in Arizona, so it was always a long distance friendship. That April, so just 1 month after they met each other at the Dote brand trip, Emma and Hannah go to visit Ellie in Arizona. We get a lot of vlog content from this trip from all of them. It's a very sweet moment. It's Emma's first time traveling by herself, and it's pretty wholesome content, just 3 girls having fun and being friends while also growing their platforms. It's always very high energy and positive vibes. They are like 16 to 17 years old when this is all happening. Later that month is Coachella, and the 3 girls go together along with some other YouTube girlies in similar content spaces. This trip is also sponsored by Dote. We cannot escape Dote. Dote will be coming back. Come July, we get more Girdie vlogs when Hannah and Ellie come to LA to visit. The 3 of them do an LA Girdie photo shoot together. They attend BeautyCon Festival LA. This is like peak Girdie era. They did an interview where they were asked how they felt being the new it girls. At this point, Emma has reached 3 million subscribers on YouTube. They talk about how their friendship grew so fast and it's been so fun, and it just happened because they all clicked really well during that Dote Texas trip, and how they love coming to meet up in LA and stay with Emma. And after the LA trip, Hannah and Ellie actually go to Michigan together to hang out for another week, and they film some more content. That summer, we also get a Dote trip in Fiji that all 3 girls are invited to and attend, along with 11 other girls. I could not find any videos of the Fiji trip on the Girdies YouTube channels. I could only find clips from other YouTubers that were on the trip. I'm not sure why, like if there's tea I'm missing or if it's related to some of the Dote drama that will come up later. Come August, Emma road trips from LA to Arizona to visit Ellie, and Hannah is not a part of this trip. To be fair, Emma says that it was an extremely last minute trip that came to be because Emma and Ellie were texting and saying how much they miss each other, and then a joke was thrown out like, okay, why don't you just fly out tomorrow so we can hang out? There were people in the comments being like, okay, where's Hannah though? But I feel like it makes sense because it was a last minute trip. Hannah lives in Michigan, so like Hannah not being there really could just mean nothing. But it is different seeing Emma and Ellie together without Hannah there, since all of their content together so far has been the Girdies and them being a trio, and I don't think they mentioned Hannah during the vlogs at all. Come October, November-ish, Ellie celebrates her 17th birthday, and Emma and Hannah are both there. Although Emma is featured less in the vlog, a lot of commenters didn't even realize she was there, but she was. She was there. Then in December, Ellie posts a 2018 recap that featured moments with the Girdies and their close friendship. 2019 comes around and people are still suspecting that there could be something wrong between Emma and Hannah because of the way they aren't really acknowledging each other online anymore. Hannah does respond to some of these accusations in a Answering Your Assumptions About Me video where she answers, "You and Emma aren't friends anymore," with "also false." She's super short with her answer, but she does include it in her video, so it's giving a please stop talking about this, like here fine is some sort of answer, but like that's all I'm gonna say. It definitely does feel like there's more to the story though, considering if things were really okay, I feel like you'd probably answer with more context, like, yes guys, we're totally fine, stop speculating, we just haven't been collabing for XYZ reason. Then in February is Hannah's 18th birthday, and she gets a surprise party thrown for her by Ellie, and the whole thing is sponsored by You guessed it, Dote. The party is in a Hollywood Hills mansion, and a ton of the Dote girlies fly in to attend from different places like Michigan and Hawaii. But Emma is nowhere to be found. She is not there. And the location of the surprise party was in LA, where Emma lived. It was said and confirmed by Hannah and other girlies who were there that Emma was invited but just chose not to come. And people were quick to point out that on the night of the party, Emma was posting herself at Target on Snapchat, so it didn't really seem like she was busy or had a real excuse for not attending. And to add fuel to the birthday drama fire, Ellie makes a post with a whole video slideshow for Hannah's birthday, celebrating their nearly 5 years of friendship with a long, heartfelt caption. Meanwhile, Emma posts nothing for Hannah's birthday. I was thinking that some people don't post for their best friends' birthdays, and that's totally normal and fine, but commenters were saying that Emma did post for Ellie's birthday and not Hannah's, which would bring up some speculation that the close friendship ended between the trio. I looked back on Instagram and couldn't find a birthday post for Ellie from Emma in 2018, but it could have been deleted. Don't quote me on that, it's just what some people were saying online. So every girl who was a part of this Dote surprise birthday party was vlogging about it, and comment sections were being filled with speculations and concerns over where the Girdies' friendship stood. People were asking for Girdie collabs to confirm that the girls are all good with each other. People were wondering if Hannah and Emma had a falling out and the Girdies are just gone forever. People just wanted answers. The comments were bleeding onto all platforms and on posts that weren't even about the birthday surprise. So among the Dote girls that Ellie, Hannah, and Emma were associated with is a girl named Summer McKeen. There's gonna be more controversy around her later in this video, but after all of this birthday drama, Summer and Ellie do a live stream together on Instagram where they answer a lot of questions. It's supposed to be lighthearted and fun, but obviously there's gonna be a lot of talk about Emma and questions about the Girdies. So then Ellie addresses it without explicitly addressing it. Like, she doesn't name Emma directly, but Ellie talks about how she's not part of drama, she's doing her own thing. People online pick apart every single thing that they do. People can drift, and friends not being as close is already a hard thing, but it's even harder with people speculating online on top of it. She says that she's friends with everybody in the Dote group of girls, and sometimes people just come in and out of your life. She understands why people ask questions since it is them putting their friend group online, but it's not always the right time for people to be asking questions, like when they're celebrating birthdays. So people did not really love the way that she talked about it. She got some backlash for being kind of shady. I personally don't think it sounded particularly shady. I think it was just giving she really didn't want to talk about it but felt like she had to. But then her only kind of addressing it just added more fuel to the fire. So then Ellie posts a video called a much needed Q&A that she has since deleted off of YouTube, but there have been reposts of clips of it and transcriptions of what she had said. This time she fully addresses the Girdie speculations. She says they are not all close anymore, and this is the last time she's gonna address the drama. She loves Emma and she loves Hannah with her whole heart and will always have a special place in her heart for them. Everything that happened between them the previous year was real. There's no tea or drama. She says that Emma and Hannah are both very non-problematic people. She thinks it's because they all knew each other really well, so they knew that they were going in different directions. She talks about how it's tough for her to feel like people only like her when she's being funny or outrageous or crying and having a mental breakdown or being with Emma and Hannah, but there's just so much more to her than just that. She's just figuring herself out. It just sucks because she'll post a picture with a friend, and if it's not who people want her to be with, then that'll be all of the comments, and it's just not fun for anybody. She just wants to be authentically herself on her channel, and she isn't afraid of saying anyone's name. She just doesn't want to make drama where there is none. I really feel for her and her response to all of this, especially given that she's like 17 at the time. I feel like she handled things really maturely. Of course, people were still wondering why and not taking no drama for an answer, but at least told everyone that the Girdies were done for real and not to be waiting around for another collab. In April, Ellie and Hannah go to Coachella together, again with Dote. At this point in time, Ellie and Emma follow each other on Instagram, but Emma and Hannah don't, which then fuels more speculation that the split was really between Emma and Hannah. Emma also goes to Coachella this year, but not with Dote. Instead, she goes with friends Olivia, Amanda, and Josie. The whole Emma, Olivia, and Amanda friendship dynamic is another thing that will come up briefly later. Come October, November-ish again, Ellie celebrates her now 18th birthday, and Hannah is there, but Emma isn't. Which we could have guessed at this point in this year, but it really solidifies the ending of Emma's closeness with Ellie and the continuation of Hannah and Ellie's friendship post Girdies. Emma and Hannah never really addressed anything in regards to the speculations, they just let everything die out. So what went wrong? There are so many thoughts and speculations online, so let's go through them. First off, some people think that Emma wanted to distance herself from Dote and the idea of being a Dote girl due to controversies around the app and the business. I don't really buy this theory because a lot of the attention around how problematic Dote was came out after Emma had already become distant with Hannah and Ellie. But we gotta get into what happened with Dote anyways because this truly was a time. So Dote was an online shopping app that was marketed as an online mall with over 150 in-app stores like Forever 21, Tory Burch, Nike, etc. And they would sponsor influencers that became dubbed as Dote Girls. They'd send these influencers on brand trips to Maui, SF, Fiji, and also send them to events like Coachella. Like I mentioned earlier, the Texas Dote trip was the one that Emma met Hannah and Ellie on. From what it seems like, the girls would just go on these trips to collab and shoot content and then plug their Dote codes in their captions. Emma even had a clothing line with Dote briefly in 2018. Dote girls were quirky teen vloggers, girls with high energy that were fun and relatable. They were also often white girls, and Dote received a lot of backlash for throwing in women of color seemingly for the sake of diversity, which was apparent through the lack of equal treatment and consideration for women of color on their trips. Which brings us to the scandal around Dotechella 2019, where Dote had put the women of color influencers in a separate room than the white influencers. The women of color slept on tiny couch pull-out beds in a living room space, while the white women got to sleep together on bunk beds in the bedrooms. Daniela Perkins made a video sharing her experience at Dotechella, how she was feeling very awkward and out of place, as if she was hated. She references the physical separation between the women of color and the white women on the trip in the house, and that she doesn't think it was done intentionally, but she definitely noticed it because it felt very weird to her. Tiana Naomi also made a video about her experience as a woman of color on the Dote Fiji trip, how there were many aspects where the white women would be catered to and the women of color were not given the same thought. Like when all the girls would get their hair done, there wouldn't be anyone who knew how to do hair like Kiana's, which meant some girls were missing out on some of the activities. Another thing being they would have photo shoots on the trip, but the photographers that Dote hired wouldn't seem to want to take pictures of women of color. She expressed being tired of being the token black girl and really being made to feel that way by the brand's doing, whether intentional or not. She was constantly feeling unwanted and being used to sprinkle in diversity, and that many women of color on these trips often don't feel comfortable speaking up because they don't want to be problematic, and that they're grateful for the opportunity to go on the trip and don't want to go against the company because they do want to work with them. Other women of color influencers noted being brought on Dote trips, getting photos taken, and then never being included on Dote's social media. It was only after all of the backlash for this that Dote tried to rebrand and show how diverse they were. They overhauled their social media accounts and suddenly started posting a lot of photos with women of color instead of their usual content of mostly just skinny white women. Dote issued an apology from their founder and launched a "This is what Dote looks like" campaign on Instagram. Comments were disabled, but people still had a lot to say and they were not happy. It just felt super performative. After this news broke, Ellie and Hannah issued separate tweets kind of addressing the situation, and both ended up stating that they did not want to work with Dote anymore. As far as I know, Emma never addressed this controversy, but she had already pretty much stopped working with Dote at the start of 2019 before all of this came out in April and on. So I don't really think this is the reason Emma would have wanted to cut ties with her fellow Dote girlfriends. You could make an argument that maybe she had noticed these things and decided to cut ties before they got heat for it publicly, but if that was the case, I think she would have spoken out about it when everyone else was speaking out about it. There were also speculations that Emma's distancing with the Dote girls didn't have to do with Dote itself, but literally the girls that were branded as these Dote girls. Potentially the girls were just mean or fake. So here's where Summer McKean comes in again, the girlie who was on Instagram Live with Ellie. A video of Summer and Hannah at Coachella comes out. In the video, the girls are seemingly making fun of a fan edit of YouTube influencer girls. The video was essentially them watching a fan edit and making comments like, "Wait, what? What is this group?" And then in the end saying, "Why is Verena in it?" Verena being another influencer who was also on the Dote trips with them. I believe she was also a few years younger than them, being only 16 at the time. So from the video, it seems like they're making fun of Verena and the edit that some fan made. So it was giving very much mean girl energy. Hannah then posts an apology on her Instagram story. I don't have the original post of this, but somebody transcribed it online. It said, "Not everyone is going to understand and forgive me, and I know that I will have to work hard to regain your trust and trust of my friends, but it is important to me to do so and repair the relationships this has broken. I'm sorry. Summer also apologized on her Instagram story, though it was received pretty poorly, saying, I'm not asking for immediate forgiveness, nor am I denying the things that happened in those videos. I just think it's only fair that you all give me a chance to speak on everything, and I hope you can try to understand this extremely difficult position I have been put in. To be clear, these things coming out happened months after the Girdies were said and done with, but some people still tied these instances with being potential hints towards the character of the other dope girls at the time, and maybe Emma just didn't want to associate with that anymore. That maybe Emma saw Hannah was a mean girl, but was still friends with Ellie, but then also drifted because Ellie continued to be close to Hannah and also be friends with Summer and other potentially mean girl dope girls. I feel like that's a lot of speculation and hoops to jump through. Like, you have to assume a lot of things to get to that conclusion that like everybody is a mean girl and just bad except for Emma. So it's not personally what I think happened. There's also the tried and true speculation that influencer friendships often break down due to competition or jealousy, and that most influencer friend groups are just faked for clout. I mean, we've already seen that in the Asian Girl Squad and Savage Squad videos I made. In a vlog from 2020, Hannah does talk about how a lot of LA friends compared numbers with one another and how it's not always a great environment. It's already tough being a teenage girl navigating friendships. Add to that another layer that you're all in the public eye being evaluated by numbers that you can all see 24/7. People were and still are constantly making comparisons. A couple years ago, someone posted this TikTok with a screenshot of Emma in a Vogue video saying, I wonder if Hannah Maloche, Ellie Thuman, etc. look at Emma on Vogue and wonder where they went wrong or if they're happy for her or what they think. And Ellie commented, pinning, I believe she meant pitting, young girls who have done nothing but stay in their own lane against each other is extremely harmful and disrespectful. Happy for us all. The narrative gets sold. 16-year-old friendship with no bad blood. I am proud of all my friends, past and present. Let us live, Lamau. 13-year-old Ellie who started YouTube is proud of where she's at. I don't crave or seek out more. What's meant for me finds me. Just exhausting. Again, I really feel for Ellie here because I agree that she should be proud of where she's at and there's no need to compare. Everyone's on their own journey and there's of course pros and cons with every path that people choose to go down in life. And just because Emma has more followers doesn't mean she's objectively better than the other girls now. It's natural to compare yourself, but you just gotta fight against it because it's so toxic and unproductive. And besides, numbers and fame are only one aspect in life. It's not the most important. Anyways, side rant over. Emma has talked a lot about her experiences with friendships growing up in the public eye in interviews and podcasts. In 2022, when Emma was around 20, she talked about how she started getting very popular on YouTube when she was around 16, and she found it harder to relate to friends at school because there was always a disconnect. That's when she started looking to find people in the same industry and workspace to become friends with. She did end up finding these people, and although they didn't live near each other, it was nice because there was always a mutual understanding about their work. There was no weirdness or questions around the content creation aspect of their lives. To me, this clearly sounds like she's talking about the Girdies here, since she mentions how they didn't live near each other, and everybody knew that the Girdies were living in different states. She says there was an unspoken understanding that was very special at the time. The pros were that you could relate to these people in the same industry. The cons were that it caused competition, people could easily use you, and there was a lot of room to get effed over. She doesn't name names, but she says being used has happened to her many times, and she acknowledges that sometimes you're being used, but you're also using them for other reasons. Usually in collabs, there's mutual benefit, but sometimes there's not, and in those moments where you think someone is profiting off of you, doesn't really care about you, and you're not benefiting from the friendship at all, you just want out. Now that she's in a better place, she forgives those people and understands that being in this industry, they're all just trying to make things happen. They're all just trying to prove themselves. It's not for sure that she was talking about the Girdies, since around the same time frame, she was also in the sister squad with the Dolan twins and James Charles. She also had her friendship with Amanda and Olivia. She spoke about how there were other bigger YouTubers who knew that they could push her around on and off camera, and people thought she was definitely referring to James Charles. Most friendships in LA are transactional, and most friendships would be based on content. She would often ask herself if they weren't making content together, would they still be friends? And it would be hard to say. And some friendships would feel like close friendships because they would talk a lot, but the question would still remain, would they be talking and be friends if there was no content making potential? people. She had these realizations one by one. Sometimes it would be a big blow up like, F you, you're using me. But other moments would be more of a drift away. She just realized the friendships off camera were not good and think it's just better to walk away. Given the way the Girdies ended, I think for Emma, it could have been the latter. Emma has acknowledged in her own podcast that she's known for being a friend group hopper on the internet, and she says that it's a fair assessment. I mean, she was part of the Girdies and the Sister Squad, and also had that public friendship with Olivia and Amanda right after severing ties with the Girdies. But her explanation is that not everyone is going to make sense in your life for your entire life. It's taken her a while to find a group of long-term friends because she was looking for something that made her feel really good and healthy. Emma talks about how there have been times in her life where she realizes a friendship is not uplifting her, and although nothing big ever happened, she just realizes they're not on the same path in life and decides to cut them off. In the past, she's just let friendships dwindle. She'll hang out with them less, talk to them less, call them less. It's kind of her go-to method. Although now she acknowledges it's better to communicate, especially when the friendships are close like a best friend. She's found it hard to communicate reasons why she wanted to end friendships, and when she didn't feel comfortable stating reasons, she would just say that she needs space and that she personally isn't in a place right now where she can be a good friend. I feel like it's somewhere in between it's not you, it's me, and just like a flat out ghost. She would just very much avoid the real issues at hand, especially when it was things that couldn't really be solved. Like sometimes people just change and you're just not aligned in interests and priorities anymore. It's not like somebody is directly wrong, you're just not compatible. So Emma pretty much admits to ghosting friends with little to no communication for why. Given all of this context, I do feel like whether it was true or not, Emma could have felt that her friendships with Hannah and Ellie were ingenuine, but I don't think that means it was actually ingenuine for everyone involved. I sense from everything Emma has said about friendships that it's been a struggle for her to find genuine friendships. People that she can really trust are truly there for her and not for the benefits of being associated with her. It is true that she blew up a lot more and faster than her counterparts, and as much as Hannah, Ellie, or any of her other friends at that time may have thought that it didn't affect their friendship and how they viewed and treated her, maybe it still did, even subconsciously, and maybe even just in subtle ways. And that doesn't mean that anybody was malicious in it. I feel that Emma may have also self-sabotaged in some of these friendships because she was guarded and chose to distance herself rather than confront some of the doubts she was having with her friends. I feel like that would line up with Ellie saying that there was no real drama, because if Emma came to these conclusions and decided to pull back on her own, then that wouldn't have resulted in a fight or any real tea, because there wouldn't have been a big confrontation. And it must have also been hard for Ellie and maybe even Hannah to come to terms with a friend pulling away and you don't really know why. And people respond to that kind of thing happening very differently. Hannah may have been more upset and had resentment towards Emma. Ellie may have been more confused and like softer with it, which could be why Ellie felt like she needed to address it because it was weighing on her and she wanted to move past it, even though she felt a lot of care for both girls. And maybe why Hannah wouldn't want to address it because she had some negative feelings about it. Cut to 2025, Hannah and Ellie are still best friends to this day from what it looks like online, and are both still pretty active on YouTube and social media as vloggers and influencers. Ellie is also a model. Emma, as I'm sure you guys know, has kept herself very relevant in the public eye. She hosts her own podcast, still posts on YouTube, runs a coffee company, and has had opportunities to host various red carpet events like the Met Gala. She's pretty much a full-blown celebrity at this point. As always, no hate intended, support whoever you want. It really doesn't matter what went down. In fact, I even hesitated to make this video when I thought about how these were really just teenage girls going through their teenage years. On top of the normal difficulties that comes with that, they also had to navigate growing up in the public eye and having every friend group they were in scrutinized. But in the end, I felt like it was okay to discuss since they are public figures and it's natural to be interested, but let's just remember to give everybody some grace. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and if you have any requests for future videos. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this one. I love recapping online tea or celebrity drama with you guys. I can't believe we're at over 7,000 subscribers right now. I am really just so grateful for you guys. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!